forward to this.
Well, hello. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, and good night. You pick. I don't know where you are, and I don't know why we can't all be on the same time zone, my time zone. Why do I have to tailor my introduction to you each time? I'm sorry. It's just very taxing on me, okay? Very tiring having to tailor every week to you and your time zone. Anyway, discard everything I just said, and welcome to the Geeknd Live. I am Jamie, and we're going to do an Obi Chat Kenobi for the final time. We're going to discuss that finale, the season as a whole, and also whether there should be another one or whether you want another one. There's probably two separate questions there. We'll discuss it all. There will be spoilers, of course. And also there'll be some general channel stream news at the end as well. So there's something exciting to hang around for. But in the meantime, why don't you hit that like button if you're watching live now or in the future, aka on the replay. And I won't talk any more about that because I'm getting dangerously close to getting frustrated about time zones again. So we're going to bring our guest in just a moment. She's your friend, my friend. She is Star Wars Meg. But first of all, a couple of hellos in the chat. Frogger over in Germany is here, or was here. Hope you're doing well, Frogger. I know it's a little bit later for you over there in Deutschland, 10 p.m. at the moment. And I know you've been struggling to stay awake through the streams. Apparently, you were full of life before the stream started, and as soon as they start, then you struggle to stay awake. Jones Capone is here as well, who created the Obi Chat Kenobi logo. Thank you again for that, and also the thumbnail for tonight's stream. Glenn the Geeky Hippie, or whatever his name is these days, Obi-Wan Kenobi Hippie Pun Lord. He came up with the name. I did nothing really for this stream. Dave Milano created the video clips, of which I will play later on. Gaz Nottingham, hello to you. Hope you're doing well, mate. Novak CT9906. Yeah, hit it. Like button, I assume. Chris from Explaining Computers is here as well. It was a clean sweep during the Kenobi run. No, you did miss one, didn't you? But that was my fault because I did an earlier one than usual. Star Wars Sessions, who have also been guests, they are here as well. Hope you're doing well, lads. I think we're talking tomorrow, aren't we, for your thing. Dave Milano is here. There's a hello there from him. There's a hello there from Power Droid Girl. There's not one from Anders Lay. Just a personal introduction there, or greeting to Glenn Obi. Anders usually is straight in with the hello there's. Anyway, we're going to bring in our guest now. We're going to talk about the Obi-Wan Kenobi finale, the season overall, and season 2 prospects. Spoilers are coming. And also, Star Wars Meg is coming. Here she is. Hello, Star Wars Meg. How are you?
Good evening or good morning, depending on
don't set me off again.
You're on.
yeah.
There's bloody time zones.
We all just need to be on one time zone. Mine, and you're on mine. So I like you. Meg. You can stay as long as you stay on this time zone. But how's life? We haven't spoken for a while. Well, we have spoken before coming live, but I mean, generally, we haven't spoken for a while. How's things?
Things are good. Things are very good. It's an exciting time to be a Star Wars fan.
Apparently. Yeah, not for all Star Wars fans. But yeah, so if people are just meeting you for the first time, your channel, every day there is new content, a lot of Star Wars news, some speculation, you do some theories, fun videos, all sorts of videos, really. Is there anything you'd like to add, or have I explained your channel perfectly?
I think you introduced me perfectly. I have no constructive criticism or feedback.
Well, if people want to check out the aforementioned channel, I have linked to it in the video description. Again, good quality Star Wars content delivered to you on a daily basis. And I've also linked to Meg's Twitter as well, if you want to go and see her over there as well. So, Meg, we are going to, like I said, talk a few things, all Obi-Wan Kenobi. Let's start off just focusing on that finale. Was this the satisfying conclusion that you were looking for, Star Wars Meg?
I think it was definitely the best episode of the entire series. Whether it was the rematch of the century or not, I'm not too sure. But it was emotional. It was quite satisfying. There were a few of the, what's his face? DiCaprio meme where he points at the screen. with Granddaddy Palps, Liam Neeson, Qui-Gon.
A hello there as well.
A hello there.
Yeah, those DiCaprio memes were kept very busy with this episode. But I mean, it was the rematch of the century if you're comparing it to the other rematch, which was in episode 3, right?
Yes, that one was pretty bad, at least in my opinion. No, I really preferred episode 6. I think the beginning of the show and the 2 final episodes were really good, but it kind of went through a very pointless slump and a lot of wasted time, missed opportunities. But I suppose, it all kind of paid off with the character arc of Vader and the way that Kenobi gets his strength back. He's reconnected to the Force. So I suppose the beginning, middle, and end that Deborah Chow teased was pretty much all there.
Yeah, it was definitely bookended superbly. I also really enjoyed the opening episode, and the last 2 were just, I think it was 3 fantastic episodes in there. And I don't think there were any bad episodes, in my opinion, but there were some just okay episodes in there. But those 3 particularly were fantastic. And last week, you talked about character arcs there. Last week, I don't think I grumbled, but we were focusing on a lot on what we wanted from this series and didn't get, rather than kind of focusing on what we have been presented with. And I think, like a lot of people, I did want a kind of deep, maybe quieter sort of character study of Obi-Wan Kenobi. And I think in a way we did get that with a lot of other stuff around it that perhaps we weren't expecting, like Reva's storyline, Leia's involvement. But I think actually I feel fairly satisfied in that department now after this finale. Like you said, the journey Obi-Wan goes on in this episode, that Leia helps him on as well. They both help each other in different ways. So I feel like in a way we did get that character study of Obi-Wan.
Yeah, it was like a different sort of character study than we expected. And I think a lot of us who read the Kenobi Legends novel beforehand went in with this sort of idea of what the show should be like, what Kenobi should be like. But they decided to go the more exciting route, which I did quite like a lot, because if this story had just been on Tatooine, I think it would have been completely boring. So I'm glad we went off world. We saw Alderaan, Daiyu, Mapuzo. I must say the environments that Disney Star Wars do with the volume are not too exciting. And I think that's been really clear with the Book of Boba Fett and with the Kenobi series. Sometimes it's just way too dark. Some of the planets and sceneries are so boring.
No, I'm with you on that. I don't know. Yeah, I don't know if we're now getting tired of our eyes, if we're getting tired of the volume, or if it's just starting to show its limitations. And certainly I feel like scale has been a thing. Sometimes this show has felt small, and I think that's probably because of the volume, and the size of the volume and safety measures as well, in terms of how many stormtroopers can you fit onto that volume stage. But the darkness is one of my quibbles. Are all very minor with the series, but that is one, and even with this final episode, Reva on Tatooine at night anyway, chasing Luke, and at the homestead, that was just, I was struggling. I don't know if I'm just getting old, but I was struggling to see, to be honest.
I was as well.
I had to.
I definitely was.
Okay, and you're younger than me, so if you were struggling too, then maybe it's not age related with my eyes. But I was having to adjust the screen. I was thought there was something wrong with my laptop that I was watching it on. But yeah, that was a quibble, and that could be why I feel like Andor. I don't want to big up Andor too much, but I feel like it's been quietly creeping up on us and is hopefully going to surprise a lot of people that have been quite meh towards it. And it hopefully also, and I think actually we got a taste of this, a flavor of this from the trailer, it will hopefully be visually a breath of fresh air, because a lot of Andor was done on traditional stages at Pinewood and on location around the UK as well.
Indeed. I think it's going to be the best of all of the Disney Plus shows, including The Mandalorian.
Would you agree that The Mandalorian is still currently the gold standard of Star Wars TV?
Absolutely. I don't think it gets better than The Mandalorian in terms of live action Star Wars series.
Did you think Kenobi would be the gold standard? Was that your
A part of me really hoped it would be, but it kind of slipped as the show progressed.
And you are it's not a competition, but I am going to say that I feel like this series probably meant more to you than me, because you are very much of the prequel era, aren't you? That is, you've said before, that is your Star Wars, isn't it? So there was probably a lot riding on this for you.
There was. I was kind of really happy on the one hand to see Ewan again, Jimmy Smits, in the end, Ian McDiarmid, Liam Neeson. I don't think they used Hayden enough. I don't think flashbacks should have been just reserved for those final 2 episodes. But I don't feel as though it even reached the level of the prequels in terms of quality of writing, directing, visually. So I don't want to sound like a downer, but it was like, I don't want to say so bad, but it was so not what the prequels were that it's not even on my radar of caring to even compare them. It's just like an optional next story. But for me, it's still Revenge of the Sith and then straight into A New Hope. I kind of feel the same about Boba Fett. I'm a huge Boba fan, and Book of Boba for me doesn't really connect as a Boba story. It's just sort of something Disney made, and you can take it or leave it.
Yeah, I feel like this Kenobi series is a good bridge, and it's a different bridge to take you to A New Hope. You know, it might not be full of action, and it might not be the best quality action at times when there is, but it's a quieter bridge. And I think, you know, maybe there wasn't quite as much Kenobi or Anakin as people wanted, but still, it is about character, I think, this series. And I think I agree with you for sure about seeing Jimmy Smits back as well as Bale. He was great, and I hope we're going to get more from him in Andor. And yeah, it was really cool to see the Emperor. I know obviously you deal with the news more, so maybe you knew this from the leaks, but I genuinely did not know the Emperor was going to show up. I kept away from all leaks, so that was a genuine surprise for me. Qui-Gon wasn't a surprise for anyone, even if it was leaked. I don't know if it was leaked, but it was, you know, it was.
I think it was the one thing that was not leaked. I think the Making Star Wars leaks were adamant, like, there's no Palpatine in this. Don't expect him.
Oh, okay.
That's how brilliant the secrecy was around the show, I suppose. And I kind of hope we have more of those surprises with other series as well.
Yeah, it's such a challenge for them though to keep those secrets. And I think Ian McDiarmid actually let it slip, but then people just thought, he's old. You know, people say things they don't mean when they get to that age. He said in an interview, "Oh, well, keep an eye out" or something, didn't he? Kind of wink to camera.
Yeah,
but
he said, "I may not be there physically, but you'll sense my presence."
Yeah, clever, Ian. But no, I mean, I don't know. Rematch of the Century was a big statement to make, and I think it was a statement, to be honest, they could never have lived up to. They overhyped themselves far too much with that statement. But I really enjoyed that episode 6 duel, I have to say, and the dialogue exchange, although minimal, was so good as well.
It was. That for me was the highlight of the entire series. And when Ewan starts crying, it was like pulling on those heartstrings. I think that's the biggest takeaway for me from the series is, okay, so we have this final kind of moment where there is a glimmer of Anakin before we go to A New Hope Vader, which is much more of a much more stoic character. And also a really interesting detail I noticed is the way that Obi-Wan takes out Vader in this show, you know, going for his life support system, it kind of accidentally gives a reason for why in A New Hope Vader fights with both of his hands, protecting his chest, even though, of course, out of universe, George hadn't figured out all of the choreography for lightsaber fighting yet. But the show, interestingly enough, provides a really reasonable explanation for why Vader fights the way he does in episode 4 to protect what is essentially his life support system. So Kenobi can't do that to him again.
Yeah, no, that is interesting. Let me just pop over to the chat. We'll do a few comments and then come back to Meg. There's a lot of love for Andor from Power Droid Girl, also from Clays as well. Brian the Geek, who's also been doing reviews of Kenobi. Go and check out his channel. You might know him as Brian the Filmmaker previously. That's another channel, isn't it? Nikolaki talking about the dark scenes in Kenobi looked okay on Nikolaki's plasma telly. You show off. And also good on my laptop. Jones Capone says or asks, can we please talk about the oversaturated, washed out lightsabers in the modern shows? Luke's saber in Mando, Book of Boba Fett, and now the sabers in Kenobi. The color dominates the scene way too much. I don't know if that bothers me, but they are certainly different. What's your take on this?
I think he's absolutely right. If you watch Attack of the Clones and go to the final duel with Dooku against Anakin and Obi-Wan, they're in that dark cave on Geonosis, and when they light their lightsabers, when they switch them on, they don't just light up their face in that color. But he's absolutely right in saying it's completely exaggerated with these shows. It wasn't too bad in The Mandalorian because it kind of worked, that contrast of the Dark Troopers with the green blade. But in this series, it was very, very comical at times when Obi-Wan lights his lightsaber and his whole face turns blue.
Yeah, it didn't bother me too much, but it's definitely very noticeable. Chad is in the house and he's doing his timekeeping duties. Very good. Obi-Wan Kenobi says, and will be better than the live action TV, but Ahsoka will top that. Where else? Jedi Mike says the money was not used that badly, just TV budget, unfortunately. Yeah, this show sometimes felt like a movie and then very much felt like TV at the same time. And of course, there are budgets involved there, and this is a TV budget, and there is an argument out there as to whether this should have been a film. It was going to be a film, but ended up with a TV budget, and not just in terms of the way it looks and the way money was spent, but also story-wise, perhaps it would have been better served as a movie as well. Meg, you talked about the kind of nothingness of the middle of the series, but you know, it's a fact of life. There are budgets. People think, oh, Disney, they've got loads of money. And I remember on a couple of occasions when I've worked with Lucasfilm for Disney, I've different scale and different departments, but there was definitely budget talk around me in terms of the things we were doing for the Star Wars show and the last celebration that was in the UK. There was a lot of budget constraints that was holding back some of their ideas that I was hearing, you know. So it happens at every level in, you know, the biggest companies in the world, Netflix, Amazon.
But here's the thing, like, we're talking about TV budgets and the volume, but how come The Mandalorian looks so good?
Yeah, true. I mean, there was a slightly different approach to this. And the shaky cam, that we didn't have so much shaky cam in Mando, did we?
No, not at all. Only in the Cara Dune versus Mando fist off in season 1. I nearly said when he fisted Cara Dune, but that would have meant something different.
Yeah, save that for another stream. Yeah, the shaky cam, I didn't hate that, but I equally did not love that. I mean, I don't think this series was perfect. There's a lot I really like about it, and I'll probably mention a few of those things in a moment or two. But there were quibbles. You know, it was too dark at times, like we said before. I didn't really like the shaky cam. I didn't love the score. I would have loved to have seen more of a mix or heard more of a mix of the older themes, the classic themes, with some of those new themes, like we did towards the end of that final episode. But some of it did look good. And Frogger also says here, episode 6, the rematch was so stylish. I agree. Whilst the planet wasn't that amazing, I did enjoy the choreography and the use of lighting as well, in terms of the red and the blue, you know, the dark and the light in that duel as well. And when the two were talking also. Jedi Mike says, hello there, Megalorians. Is this one of yours? He
Meg? Is one of mine. I claim
you brought him over. He's all yours. Hello to Jedi Mike. And Star Wars Sessions add the shifting voices between Hayden and James Earl Jones as well. Ewan's excellent acting in those moments. Yeah, Ewan, I think not just in those moments, Ewan knocked it out of the park for this series. And we'll come on to some season 2 chat a little bit later. But okay, I'm going to just do it now. I part of me wants the season 2, but I also know it's wrong. And the main reason why part of me wants a season 2 is purely just for Ewan McGregor. He's so good in this role. I want more.
I agree. He was brilliant. He made the show what it was. Him and Vivian Lyra Blair, the young princess, they were phenomenal. They kind of took the show from like a 7 to a 10.
And that farewell, the farewell between them was beautiful as well.
It was, and they used some of John Williams' music as well.
Yeah, I think that was the first moment some classic themes got introduced, wasn't it? We got Leia's theme and a little bit of the Force theme or Binary Sunset theme, whatever it's technically or officially called. But the dialogue there as well, you know, talking about Padme and talking about Anakin, not Vader as well, was beautiful. I don't feel much, but I felt something watching that. Yeah, and also the sound design as well was great, shifting between those voices. Brian the Geek says, this stream has my 2 favorite Star Wars YouTubers. Couldn't be happier right now. Thanks, Brian. I assume you mean me and Meg and not Meg and Star Wars Sessions. They're podcasters, technically. Clay's, no, I saw Clay's message about Andor. Oh, no, I've gone back up on that. I've gone back up instead of scrolling down with the chat. Chad says, the show works well for me. I enjoyed the ending and the show as a whole, and I'm definitely not a big prequel fan. So for me, it did well. If there's anything I've missed that's really important, copy and paste it back in. I'm just scrolling through. Frogger says, I expected Qui-Gon to show up when Obi was trapped under the rocks. Almost gave up on seeing him. Yeah, they really left it to the bitter end, didn't they? They were hinting at it from the get-go in episode 1. Did you always believe we would see him, Meg?
I did. I saw the leaks originally, and
was it leaked?
They said yeah. It was one of the first things that was leaked for the show. Is Liam Neeson's going to be back for this? But interestingly, so was Yoda, and I think Yoda was cut from the show. And Natalie Holt even spoke about the use of Yoda's theme in a recent interview. So I think there's a lot of evidence to suggest Yoda was originally going to be like a cutscene.
Yeah, that kind of makes sense that they certainly would have absolutely discussed having Yoda involved. And Ewan McGregor said something. He was asked why Yoda didn't show up, because now they're doing a few interviews where they're able to talk more openly now it's finished. And he gave the line that he can't communicate. Obi-Wan can't communicate with any living Jedi because it could give away their, the fact they're alive and also their location as well. And I don't quite buy that, but obviously
I think that breaks canon, because in The Empire Strikes Back, Yoda's like, for a long time I've watched over this one.
Yeah.
And it kind of implies, like, even though Yoda can probably sense Luke, you kind of get this impression that Obi-Wan and Yoda kind of kept in touch over the years.
Yeah. I think Ewan was wriggling out of a question he didn't know the answer to be fair. Cap for Life says, I never understood the part where Vader says, have you come to destroy me, to Obi-Wan, when he's the one who asked for a ship to face him alone. Besides that, all was awesome. Yeah, true. Yeah, true. He did come to Obi-Wan as opposed to Obi-Wan coming to him, technically. But then there'll always be a certain point of view twist on it. Hello,
that's
there
like going to a restaurant
Matt.
And then going right up to the chef and saying, have you come here to cook for me?
Yeah, I might try that. And then probably be asked to leave. Sige is here. Great to see Sige. He's been a bit of a slacker during these streams of late, but he is here late, but always good to see you, Sige. Okay, so let's get back into the season overall. So overall, Meg, you said that there was a great start and a great finish, and you weren't too keen on the middle. But overall, what kind of feelings do you take away from this season?
Very similar to the Book of Boba Fett, and right now it's kind of this thing of what I like to call recency bias.
Mm-hmm.
Or relevancy bias.
Mm-hmm.
The fact that it happened so recently, we're talking about it, but just like the Book of Boba Fett, give it a month and I'll completely have forgotten about it. And I think it comes down to the fact that the rewatchability is so poor for these last 2 shows, whereas I still find myself rewatching The Mandalorian seasons 1 and 2 back to back all the time since they dropped.
Oh, really? I haven't even attempted to rewatch Boba yet, but I kind of felt like, and I have this feeling with Kenobi as well, that it will be a better binge. Certainly, Book of Boba Fett will be a better binge. I've enjoyed Kenobi on the whole, and I feel like Kenobi will be a good binge as well. Have you rewatched Boba?
I kind of give up halfway through.
Okay,
I
all
like
right.
episodes 1 and 2, and then it kind of gets boring. Chapter 6 was good. Chapter 5 as well, actually, but again, it just doesn't pull me in.
And because I've definitely overall really enjoyed this series, and again, it's not perfect, but then Star Wars has never really been perfect, if you're honest. But I've kind of found myself struggling to enjoy it at times, and I feel like that's partly because of all of the noise around this series now. You know, all of the over the top, in my opinion, reactions in terms of listing every single mistake, inconsistency. You know, it for me, I know it's been around Star Wars for a long time now, especially since The Last Jedi, but it just seems to be getting a bit too crazy now. So in a way, I kind of found myself confused at times. Like I think I'm enjoying this, but the internet's telling me I shouldn't be enjoying it. So I've kind of managed to disconnect myself from that kind of force, and I have settled on the fact that I have, for the most part, enjoyed this. And I'm probably going to disconnect myself when Andor comes out as well, because yeah, I don't really like the way this platform and certain parts of this fandom are going at the moment. And again, there's nothing wrong with disliking this series. It's just how you behave with that dislike. Equally, you know, you can like something and attack somebody for not liking the thing that you like. You know, it works both ways. But you know, I've
Yeah, there's
overall
a lot of
enjoyed this series.
hyperbole in the reactions to this show, and some people hate it for the wrong reasons, completely nothing to do with the plot. And I think that goes back to the people you're speaking about on YouTube, who just have to hate on everything because it's their grift. But at the same time, I have seen people who absolutely love every part of the show, like to the point where if you make any criticism, you're villainized as one of them, which just isn't true.
No, you can't be a Star Wars centrist these days, can you? It's like
No.
Brexit Britain. You're on one side or the other. There's no middle ground. Yeah, no, it's a shame. But again, I'm not saying the show's perfect, but I feel like in some ways they could have saved a lot of the anger, if you like, and the talk about certain canon breaking if they released all the episodes at once, particularly with the Grand Inquisitor, particularly with how Kenobi signs off with Leia, which helps make the A New Hope message make sense. I actually feel like probably the more you think about it, of course, you're always going to find inconsistencies. And that's the case in the prequels, you know, and in the original trilogy as well. But I feel like in some ways, this series has added some more significance to A New Hope and also subsequent Star Wars films. Like now Obi-Wan saying Vader betrayed and murdered your father is kind of less of a lie than it was before.
I agree.
For
There's
example.
so much awesome contextualization in the show. I don't agree with the people who say Brick's canon because it really doesn't. There are a couple of mental gymnastics here and there, but overall, I think it provided so much added context, added story to help kind of explain some original trilogy stuff.
Yeah, and even sequel trilogy, you know, Leia naming her son Ben, you know, that has so much more meaning now. And I know not everybody was happy that Obi-Wan and Leia actually met, but we can now see how Ben influenced her. And then people will say, well, why wasn't she bothered when he died? You know, she seemed a bit like, come on, get on with it to Luke. But hey, you know, but no, I think a lot of this has made certain important moments even more important in the Star Wars saga. And I think it's also made Obi-Wan even more important than he was before overall to the Star Wars saga, in my opinion.
I would agree with that. But going back to the Leia comment about how she didn't react to Ben Kenobi's death, well, to be fair, when Han Solo died, her reaction was literally sitting down.
Yeah, you're right. She's just quite chilled about death. To be
Very.
fair, it's just the way she is. Yeah, good point. Good point. Chewie was the emotional wreck, meanwhile. Yeah, at the end of the day, Star Wars has never been perfect, and I don't quite get all of the level of nitpicking and anger that this series has kind of took some people to. I just don't quite get it, and maybe I've been guilty of it at times too. But I just want to go back to just taking Star Wars for what it is, entertainment. And when I take a step back away from the YouTube noise and just look at this series as entertainment, I enjoyed it.
I agree. And just to give you a bit of like rest in terms of for future projects, a lot of these people who come out with this content where it's like they have to nitpick everything, hate on everything, they were always going to do that going into it. You'll find that if you watch videos going into a series, they're always talking about how they expect bad things to happen. And in this case, they had to pick on Reva, they had to pick on Leia, they had to pick on, well, pretty much those two. They were the central nitpicks. If you'll hear any of their opinions on plot holes and bad writing, it's always to do with Leia and Reva. Whereas my issues with the show are completely different and more to do with the production value. And is this better on the big screen, or should it be made for Disney Plus? But those nitpickers are always looking for things which are just beyond what the show can do.
Yeah. And it's sad because once upon a time, they would have just gone into a Star Wars film wanting to enjoy it and just there for a good time. And now you're going in already hating it, and partly because it pays your rent. Gaz Nottingham, can we give some credit to the fight choreography between Vader and Kenobi? The lightsaber work for Kenobi was very cool and slick. The spinning and fluid switching saber between hands was awesome. Yeah, definitely in the episode 6. And there's a whole team, behind Vader. Obviously, Ewan McGregor has his own stunt performers, but Vader had a movement coach, 2 stunt performers, and obviously Hayden as well. So I'm looking forward to the gallery. I assume there'll be a gallery documentary to learn more how they brought Vader to life in this. Because again, there's a whole team behind bringing Vader to life.
I can't wait to see them dress up Liam Neeson again.
Yeah. He was definitely more Irish than I remember. In terms of Star Wars, he's definitely always been very Irish, but he definitely sounded a little bit more Irish, I felt.
It's funny you say that because I said that Aunt Beru sounded so Australian.
Really?
And Bonnie Peace is Australian, but like in the prequels, that wasn't the case in terms of her accent. And here she was like full on Australian. Now that I think of it, I don't even think she spoke in the prequels. She was Australian. That's the main point.
Yeah, she was Australian. She still is Australian as far as I know. Anders says, if Ezra can talk to Yoda in Star Wars Rebels, Obi-Wan could have talked to Yoda. Maybe they'll have a conversation if there is another season. Okay, then let's talk about that before we wrap up. I did a poll, which I don't do very often, but it turns out people actually turn up when you do a poll. Hang on a second. So 2,000 people responded to this poll, which is very good for my channel. I just need to have just make this a poll channel from now on. Do you want a second season of Obi-Wan Kenobi? Now, I feel like there's 2 questions here. It's, do you want a second season of Obi-Wan Kenobi, and do you think there should be a second season of Obi-Wan Kenobi? I've gone with the do you want here. 2,000 votes. Yes. Storms into a lead that it's gonna maintain. I don't know when this poll ends, but it's not going to be overtaken by no. 74% of people polled do want a second season of Obi-Wan Kenobi. I don't know how that would change if the question was changed to, do you think there should be a second season? First of all, I'm surprised by how many people, when you think about all of the negativity we just talked about, it just reminds you that actually there is a lot of people that did really enjoy this series out there. I was surprised by just how many people want it. In the comments, there are a number of people saying, I want it, but I don't feel like there really should be one, and that's kind of where I am at the moment. I want it. And like I said before, mostly, in fact, because I just want more of Ewan McGregor as Obi-Wan Kenobi. But at the same time, it doesn't feel right. How do you feel about this, Meg?
I kind of agree with your more nuanced take on it. There's a big difference between personally wanting to see more and is it a good idea for the story, for Obi-Wan, for Vader, for the original trilogy, if we do get more. But considering the Kenobi series took place over like a few days, maybe a couple of weeks, then sure, why not have another season that shows us Qui-Gon training Obi-Wan? Maybe we'll finally have that Yoda cameo.
Yeah. Do you think I mean, beforehand, it was very much billed as a limited series, and I do believe that was genuinely the intention, but it does seem that people on the Star Wars side of things, the official Star Wars side of things, are warming towards the idea. Certainly Hayden and Ewan have been very pro, and it sounds like Kathleen Kennedy is certainly not ruling it out. How likely do you think it is?
I think it's pretty likely because ultimately Disney's decision-making is based on how much money did it make, how much viewership, all of that kind of thing. And I think there are enough reasons from like a monetary perspective, looking at the analytics, that they should make another season.
Yeah.
They like to mask it by saying, if there's a good reason to tell another story, we'll do it. But
yeah,
we know what,
if there's money to be made, we'll do it. And it had the biggest premiere of all time on Disney Plus or something like that, apparently. Although we never actually get the actual figures. I imagine.
why else do you think they created Grogu as a Yoda species? Because he's going to live till 900 years old.
Yeah, they are going to milk whatever that species is to the bitter end. The species that will outlive us all, of course. I wouldn't be against it, I have to say. I mean, a lot of people say, do we need it, though? But did we even need this first season?
No.
Do we need any more Star Wars? You could say knock it on the head after the original trilogy, but hey, I'm all for more Star Wars, and I'll show up. Just take it as a form of entertainment, which is the form it is supposed to be taken in. Okay, let's do a few comments and let us know what you guys think of season 2. Do you want it to happen? Should it happen? And also get your scores in for the final episode of Obi-Wan Kenobi. And also, hey, give us an overall score out of 10 for the season as a whole as well. Meg, I'd like your scores from you in a moment as well. Please, I'm going to pop over to the chat for some final comments before we get those scores and below this thing so we can all go home or something like that. Sige says, all the so-called plot holes are such minor things. None of these are immersion-breaking things. The chat things just skipped. Nikolaki said something about, here it is. Nikolaki says Leia had also just witnessed her planet getting blown up. So yeah, she had bigger things you could say to be upset about in that moment, I suppose you could say. Alexandra Starr, hello to you as well. Hope you're doing well. And Frogger also mentions Leia's home planet being blown up in front of her. See, you can find ways around all of these. I kind of like I like all these different theories. It's fun, and yeah, it's a good point as well. She did have bigger things to worry about. Brian the Geek says, I ended up loving the Obi-Wan Leia dynamic. I think it makes some sense. Leia wasn't hugely moved. If someone I met for 2 to 3 days when I was 10 died and I hadn't seen him for a while, I wouldn't react. And yeah, and she was kind of caring for Luke as well, who had only just met Ben and been through a lot with him in a short space of time. I say only just met him. Now it turns out he met him 10 years previous. Anyway, and another comment about Leia watching her entire planet being destroyed. That gave her some kind of emotional break or stress from Power Droid girl there. Oh, I assume Glenn's gone. Bye, Glenn, because Dave Milano said bye, Glenn. Or do you want Glenn to go? Are you asking him to leave? Or has Glenn decided to leave? Star Wars Sessions say the farewell between Obi and Leia with that dialogue and music was heart-wrenching. Yeah, the music plays such a role. And I'm not saying the score was bad. I just kind of, especially with the trailers we got, Meg, using Duel of the Fates or maybe Battle of the Heroes, it kind of suggested that we were going to get that mix, like Rebels, that mix of some sort of take on the original themes anyway, with some new. And that was disappointing.
Yeah, it was. They blue-balled us.
They did. Sige asks, do we know if that was really James Earl Jones or a bot? I'm going to ask Meg, but from what I heard, there was Respeecher, the software that they also used for Luke in the Book of Boba Fett. And with Luke in the Book of Boba Fett, they used old audiobooks recordings and dialogue from that period of time that Mark Hamill had recorded, and that went into the algorithm and created the voice. There's been a few different theories with Vader, hasn't there, Meg?
There has. I'm not too sure. It could have been a bit of both.
Sorry to put you on the spot there. Yeah, I've heard that James Earl Jones might have recorded some new lines, and they also used some Respeecher. I've also heard it was only Respeecher, and there was some theory that Hayden Christensen recorded the lines into Respeecher. But hey, we don't know, Sige. Sorry. Sige voted no in terms of, I assume, for a second season. Which is fine. All right, so let's get your scores in. Sorry if I've missed any comments. Get your scores in. I think the first score... Sorry, I'm just... Chris from Explaining Computer says, I would happily watch a season 2, but I'm not sure it should happen. Not sure it will happen. Chris is saying, not sure it should happen. It could well happen. Clay says season 2 want? Yes, should, no. Okay, Sige has given the first score that I can see anyway. If I've missed a score, please copy and paste it back in. 10 out of 10 from Sige. I think this is for the whole series. What more do people need from this series? In regards to another season, want? No. Should? No. But of course I want more. That's from David Milano there. And sorry, the chat keeps skipping. So if I'm missing things, I am sorry. 10 out of 10 from Power Droid Girl for part 6. Thoroughly enjoyed every moment of it. I cried. That sealed the deal. 9 out of 10 for the series. Overall, I was entertained. Brian the Geek, I'll give part 6 an 8 out of 10. My initial watch, I would have given it lower, but having let it sit for some days, I'm sticking with 8 out of 10. And Nikolaki says, Kenobi had several supremely sublime moments, and there were several moments that dropped me out of the galaxy, as it were. Is that a 7? Final part from Chris, a 9 out of 10. Series 8.5 out of 10. Okay, Frogger, because Frogger stayed up very late in Germany, Meg. What's your take on the whole Grand Inquisitor is back surprise thing?
I think in the writing process, they needed a way to have the Grand Inquisitor out of the story for a while. I think they did it in the worst possible way. They could have had Vader or one of the Imperials have him on a different mission. And also the fifth brother kind of was mostly absent for the second half of the show. So that was a bit odd as well.
He did vanish. I have no problem with it. I've only seen one season of Rebels so far, and I'm not that invested in the character. I had no problem with it, especially when we got that hello. I love that. That was the best scene in the whole series. That hello. I can't do it justice, so I won't do it again.
I love the little sticker
what I mean.
You get, the little badge, if you're manager for the day.
yeah. No, I thought Rupert Friend did it in the minimal time we saw him. I thought he did a great job. Ollie, the composers, talked about Vader's theme and stated they didn't want to use Imperial March because he still had his conflicted Anakin mindset until he said he killed Anakin. Yeah, that makes sense. Brian the Geek, overall for the series, 8.7 out of 10. Josh Capone, episode 6 was a 9 out of 10, while the series as a whole sits at a 7 out of 10 for me. 9.5 out of 10 from Clays. 9.1 for episode 6 from Gaz Nottingham. 9.9 out of 10 for the series. Anders Lay. The last episode of Kenobi was an emotional roller coaster. The talk between Obi-Wan and Vader at the end of the fight almost made me cry. Almost. I would be happy to watch another season. Episode 9.5 for the episode. Wait, hang on a second. Am I reading this right? Episode 9.5. Wait, am I confused here? I think I'm confused
he's saying
here.
The episode is 9.5, but he rates the show 7.
Oh, the series as a whole 7.7. Okay, but the episode 9.5. I've got it. Thank you, Anders. I thought I was expecting, even though for me 7.7 is very high, I was kind of expecting a higher one from you for the season as a whole. That's maybe what shocked me But there's a lower one here for the series. 7.5 from Fogger for the series finale, 9 out of 10. Star Wars Sessions Duo, 9 out of 10 from Matt, 8.7 out of 10 from Luke. That's for part 6. Glenn is here. He's given an overall 8.5 out of 10 for the series and 9 out of 10 for that final episode. So maybe Milano was asking you to leave, Glenn. Sorry if I shouldn't have brought that up. The fifth brother was put into please that section of the fan base. Didn't have much to do. Frogger's with you, Meg. I'm with Meg. They kind of dropped the whole Inquisitor storyline as soon as Reva was out. And Ollie says Grand Inquisitor could tell Vader there is a link between Leia and Kenobi and he would save her again. Grand Inquisitor was there when Reva announced the trap. Right. Well, I think I've got through all the comments. So, Meg, let's come back to you for your score out of 10 for the episode and the series overall.
The episode is either a 9 or a 10, but the series on the whole is a 7.
Okay.
How about you?
I'm just thinking. I'm with you. I'm going high with a lot of people, actually. I'm going high for the final episode, 9 out of 10. I'm quite close to you with the overall season score. I'm feeling like a 7.5. No, I'm rounding up. I'm going with an 8. I'm going with an 8 for the series as things stand, based on one viewing. I'm looking forward to seeing this again. I am looking forward to a rewatch. I know you're not feeling the rewatchability of this series at the moment, Meg, but I'm fancying a rewatch at some point in the near future. I don't know if the score will change then, but at the moment I'm quite happy with an 8 for the series and a 9 for this final episode. And I will remind people, I very rarely go this high because 5 is average and average is okay. Anything above 5 is above average, and that's pretty good. So overall I'm glad. Not perfect, but I'd rather have it than not have it in my life. So yeah, that's it. That's our Obi chat. Kenobi. Thank you everybody for joining, and also some thank yous for people that have contributed to my laziness in terms of streaming. Glenn named the chat because it got a week into the season starting, and I still haven't bothered to come up with one. Obi Chat Kenobi, and then Jones Capone created the logo. Dave Milano made some video clips for me to play depending on how I felt about each episode, and I think we've played the average one a few times and the good one a few times. I'm going to play the good one just one last time. So thank you to Dave Milano for creating this.
Hello there.
And I do want more of that, even though I know I shouldn't. But also just some quick final housekeepings. My end, I think this is the last stream for a little while. I'm going to take a little break from doing the streams. I'm tired, to be honest. I've been a full-time carer and juggling about 5 different freelance jobs and trying to make the channel busier than it has been. I'm pretty shattered, to be honest. So I'm going to take a little break. Do a video a week at least on the channel, but I have very limited channel time. So I think for a few weeks in terms of resting, put that time into making a few videos. Patreon members, I will be in touch in regards to doing something separately. But the stream will return, of course, certainly by Andor, but let's have a little break for a bit because we scraped the barrel doing the stream every week until Kenobi really started to kick off. So let's not do that again just yet. It's not long till Andor's out. But thank you, everybody, for joining each week and for all your contributions in the chat as well. And also to all of the guests that have joined, including Meg. So Meg, now Kenobi's finished. There's no rest for you on the channel. The videos keep on coming. What's next for the channel?
Oh, yes. Every single day, I do Star Wars news updates or explain videos which look at different lore and theories, all of that kind of thing. But you can expect a video every single day.
Yeah, and it's true. It's true. When was the last time you had a day on the channel where you did not deliver a video, i.e. where you slacked?
It was May of 2020. Wow. And my excuse was I just started the channel.
Wow, just finding your feet still then. That's consistency. When people in years to come look up the definition of consistency in their thesaurus, they will see staring back at them 3 words: Star Wars Meg. That will be the definition of consistency moving forward from now on. Well done,
Thank
Meg.
you, Jamie. That means a lot.
So
Thank you for having me on.
You're welcome. You're welcome. Thank you for being part of my of what essentially is the new Bible of YouTube. You know, I feel like this is the new Bible. This whatever we've just done. Anyway, Meg, no, thank you for joining. It's been great to talk to you again, and thank you to everybody. I'm seeing a lot of goodbyes, and we're being asked. No, jibber jabber. That's a Meg. That's a Meg thing. We've had Megalorians. We've had jibber jabber. Do you still do jibber jabber?
I do still do jibber jabber every day.
You're still jibber
no more
jabbering.
Jibber jabber.
And Simon D has arrived right at the end for the 2nd week running. Simon D, we need to have a catch up. All right, everybody. Thank you very much. Don't forget to check out Meg's channel if you don't already know it. Link in the video description and to Meg's Twitter as well. Thank you, everybody. We're going to start waving now because I'm clicking end broadcast. All right. So keep waving until the awkward lag comes to an end. Keep waving, everybody, and take care. And I'll see you soon. All right.